Hi. So I have this vivid memory of me and my grandmother. We are waiting for a bus to come by, a matatu to pass by. We were heading for town. And standing there, I am feeling sad. And then I look at my grandmother and I tell her, I don't think I have a testimony. I don't. Prior to that, something had been happening in our lives. Our neighbor, a friend of mine, had just had this massive encounter with Jesus, and his life had tremendously changed, and everyone could see it. And I kept thinking to myself, I don't think I have felt what this guy is feeling. He was very happy, he was different, he just felt, he really knew what he was talking about. And I thinking about it just made me think, I don't think I have a testimony. He was very passionate about his testimony. He would be like, I really know where the Lord has taken me from. And this made me feel like I don't think I have a testimony. Like, I thought about it in my life and I realized, no, I don't. And standing there waiting for a bus to come, I poured my heart to my grandmother and she told me, no, everyone who has met Jesus has a testimony. Well, I didn't make much of it, but I had just finished high school and I was having all these questions about life. I didn't know what I wanted to be, I didn't know what I wanted to become. And so many things were going on in my mind. He felt like he had what I wanted, clarity, like a surety. And it's not like his life was certain or like 100% working or anything, but there was something that I wanted that I felt like, he could understand it. So at that point, I had just finished high school. Now, to take you back, I was brought up by my grandmother in faith. She taught me about Jesus from a very young age. She took me to church. She taught me prayers. She taught me how important it is that God is in our lives. And I grew up knowing that and just basically doing what I was supposed to do to be right by God and by my grandmother. Until I finished high school and like I said, I had questions. And I I wasn't getting answers, and in the middle of that I started to be very rebellious. I didn't want to I would be told something and I'm just questioning it. So my grandmother decided that it was best that I go live with my mother whom I had not had a relationship with up to this point. She had not brought me up and she was distant. Our relationship was sour. And it was a huge shift from having everything I need to not having everything I need. My mom had chosen a different kind of life. It was not a life of faith. It was a huge shift. And here, she didn't care whether I went to church or not. It wasn't a problem. If I went to church or I didn't go, it wasn't a problem. And being here, life being very different, it was very hard for me. It became even worse for me to know what I want to be. I felt abandoned by my grandmother, and I also felt abandoned by my mom at the same time. Like I had always been feeling abandoned by her, but I had not really realized that. So in those moments when I was very sad, I was angry and bitter with my mother. I was bitter at life and I was bitter at God for not, like for not bringing out my life the way I wanted it to be. Like it was nothing I had imagined. Like I had not imagined my life would be like that after high school. I don't even know what I was imagining, but that was not what I was imagining. So I was bitter and angry and prideful. And in that moment, in my lowest moment, thinking that, okay, I'm done. I'm just done. It's over for me. I thought to myself, maybe I should really ask God to help me. I should really ask him to help me. And I decided I was going to read the Bible. I had a Bible that my grandmother had encouraged me to buy when right after I finished high school. And I decided that I was going to read the book of Revelation. So I read Revelation 1, I read Revelation 2, and I read Revelation 3. And up to Revelation 2, it felt like just any other story. Like I was just reading, the Bible. We were reading a story like we used to read when we were in school. Like there was nothing big until I reached the Revelation 3 verse 15 and 16. And it said, I know all the things you do, that you are neither hot nor cold. I wish that you were one or the other. But since you're like lukewarm water, neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. That was, those words didn't leave me the same. Those words made me realize that I had been going to church. Yes, I was praying, but I was not a Christian. I was not following the Lord. And these words didn't feel like I was just reading from a book. It didn't feel like it was God telling John, like, the one who wrote Revelation. It felt like it was Jesus telling Shiko, telling me, telling Immaculate that yes, I know you. I have been knowing you. I have been knowing you from past, from your past days up to this point, and you are lying to yourself. You think you're good because you go to church. You think you're better than other people because you do all these things that they don't do. But the truth is, you don't have a relationship with me. You don't love me. And in this moment, it's like my eyes were opened and I realized, how much I need Jesus. I really need Jesus. Of course, I cried and I asked for help for so many things that I was not understanding in that moment. But the truth is, it was not just a moment that, I wouldn't say that it was just that moment that transformed my life in a snap of fingers. No, it was a moment that opened up a season of my life that I was continuously being sanctified. He was showing me this area of my life. Suddenly, I started to see, oh, here, you're very bitter with your mom. You need to let go of that. Here, you're very prideful. That's why you think your grandmother abandoned you. But the truth is, she has always had the best interest in her mind for you. And you think that she has abandoned you. Here, this is what you've been doing. Here, my eyes were open and I could clearly see. I saw what was wrong and what was right suddenly. And even now, God still is pursuing my heart. Every day, I have to say yes to His pursuit. I have to say yes to His calling over my life every day. And I'm sharing this to encourage anyone out there who is feeling lost, for one, who is feeling like they don't have anyone to go to. I would just want to encourage you to take a moment and just ask God for help. Just ask Him for help. Tell Him that you need help. Tell Him that you've tried it your way and it's not working and you want Him to come into your life. Because that is the first step towards whatever we are seeking, whatever we are looking for, be it happiness, be it joy, be it contentment. That is the first step, accepting that our plans are not working and only God's plan will help us. And also for someone who is struggling, thinking that, oh, I don't think I have a testimony. I don't think God has done anything in my life. I don't think, you know, for starters, I feel like that comes from a point of pride. It was coming from a point of pride for me, but I didn't realize it at that point. And God is so faithful that in His mercy, He still showed me how proudful I was, and He showed me that He had really been with me for all those time. That His mercy had been carrying me the whole time, and it wasn't myself carrying myself or my grandmother. And for anyone who is afraid of reaching out to God, if you're afraid for reaching out to God, I would love to encourage you to not be afraid. He is a God who is so loving and He's been loving us from the very beginning, from the time immemorial, from the beginning of time. He has been loving us. He has been faithful. So I would want to encourage you that look at your life. God has done so many things in your life. And if you only take a moment and think about them, you will see that He has done that. And if you do not see, that's okay. Please take a moment and ask Jesus to show you what He has done in your life. Because the enemy can hide so many things. He doesn't want us to appreciate and to thank God for what He has done. So he can tend to blind us, not to see it. Just ask God, be honest with Him and ask Him to show you, God, it's hard for me to see what you've done in my life. Please show me what you've done in my life. And He will answer you. He will tell you what He has done in your life. And when you actually see it, please go ahead and tell the other person what the Lord has done in your life. Because I'm sharing this to strengthen someone out there. And when you find out what God has done for you, do the same to strengthen another person. I'm thinking of the Samaritan woman, the woman who met Jesus at the well. That woman didn't have even, she didn't go to school to do Bible school. She didn't get any kind of training to teach about Jesus. She only went with what she had, her testimony. She told people, come and see. This man told me all about me and everything that I had done. And everyone wanted to see Jesus because of just that. And this is a call for all of us. I know that it's hard to share your testimony. Sometimes it can be very hard to share your testimony. Sometimes it can be very hard to say, to tell people. It feels it's a very vulnerable thing to do. To tell people, oh, I was like this, and this is where the Lord met me, and He changed me. It can be very hard. But don't let that fear hold you back. You are withholding some kind of grace that people will receive from your testimony. So please feel free to share your testimony. Tell people, tell one or two people what the Lord has done for you. And we are going to praise Jesus and to glorify Him. Until next time, bye.